In this tonight's episode, we're going to talk about how I scale from single family to multifamily like a professional, and kind of give you my blueprint to wealth, how I scaled, how I reached financial freedom. And I left my W-2. I used to be a CPA and a tax director in New York City, and I was part of the rat race, as they call it, and I wasn't happy. So I decided to create my own company. And I decided to, and I'll show you how I did that, step by step. So disclaimer, this is just for educational purposes. Even though I'm a CPA, I'm not here to give any tax advice, any legal advice. Please seek your own counsel for that. And it's just for general purpose only. Okay, so one of the items why I chose multifamily as my vehicle for wealth creation is because I read a couple of books. One of them was Rich Dad Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki was an inspiration to me with me and my brothers when I was young. Another one called Think and Grow Rich, if you know that one. That's for Napoleon Hill. Okay, that's another one that we have. Let's see. And we also have some other ones that we have. And basically those two books inspired me when I was young. I was maybe in my 20s, and me and my bro listening in the car. And I said, you know what? I need to do something different because right now I'm an accountant, like Conrad's an accountant. I got my CPA license, my master's degree, well educated, good school. And that's what I was taught by my parents coming here from Asia. And what I realized was that's not something that will make me happy. And what happened was when I got working into my career and I got to the top of the career, something changed. I said, you know what? Something's got to change for me because I'm not personally happy. So if I'm not personally happy and content, the real question is, why would I continue this, right? That's the real question. Why would I continue something that I am not really content with? Should I be in this rat race working, 12 hours a day and killing myself? Or should I do something that will make me happy? So I realized that I listened to some podcasts and some books, and I realized that multifamily was the wealth creation vehicle for many years. And a lot of people use that, the wealth use that in America to rig the tax code. So as you don't know, our tax code is kind of rigged toward the wealthy. So the lower class and even the middle class gets squeezed because we don't have those benefits because we're not in control of the writing the codes. So a lot of us who came from the lower class, middle class, had to pay the most inequality of taxes to the government. And the biggest one is when you're W-2, when you're working like me, you become a wage slave. You basically pay most of your taxes over to the government immediately. So when you get paid a W-2, you get paid, let's say bi-weekly pay every 2 weeks. The government would take your taxes and pay it off to the government right away. Your FICA, your FUTA, your federal and state income taxes. And me who studied the code and became well versed into the code and thought about this, I'm like, wait a minute, this is not really equitable for someone like person like me who immigrated to a different country, worked hard, play by the rules. Just to my parents and say, hey, you gotta be, a doctor, a lawyer, or be one of these, noble, the big three, right? CPA, lawyer, or doctor. And what I realized was, wait a minute, this is actually my parents' dreams, right? And not really my dream. And I'm the guy who's actually suffering, who's in this corner office in New York City. That's my background. That was similar to my office when I had in New York City. And I was in charge of the North America and South America, the Americas, and how to put sort of programs and sort of my hat to figure out how to save a company millions of dollars. And I realized this is not what I want to do. So then I said, I need to go to real estate, which I love. And I had like condos and single family houses. And that's why I chose multifamily because the millennials now are moving toward a rental demand shift, which means that they're going through more like basically they want more flexibility, freedom. They want to travel, work remotely. They want to make content through YouTube and stuff like social media. So they more remote and they like the freestyle, the lifestyle, the freedom. And the deferring actually marriage and everything else and kids. So essentially you have more shift in sort of renting demands demographics and just traditional back then when we grew up, where you own a house and that was called the American dream. So now we're seeing more built to rent developments and multifamily for rentals. So that's what's important. And the reason why multifamily plays a role is because in multifamily, we have a shortage of housing. So you buy multifamily, it's always going to be demand. So, and we'll go through some examples of real life cases that we just recently acquired and we go through why it's such a high demand, especially where we live here in Dallas. So you can see here a chart. Over time, it's shifting. We're no longer like baby boomers and our generation. It's shifting toward a demographic where I think a lot of people will rent in the future. So the challenges of single family investing is because, like me, I bought like three, four condos in New Jersey where I grew up. My brother bought single family houses, and the challenge with that is what happens is when you have one lot and you have one property tax, it can be very high and there's a big burden in New Jersey. So in New Jersey, our highest taxes is really property taxes. So I think the nation's highest in America. And so when you buy a lot of those, what happens is your cash flow is almost very low or break even. So you're banking on equity. So that's kind of risky too, because if the equity doesn't go up, then you kind of have a bad proposition on your hands. So that's why when I initially bought a lower price point to hope we get more equity and get some small cash flow going. And what I realized was that's not the way to go because that's not scalable and on high property taxes. And that's what hurted my cash flow and my dream of becoming financially free. So when I hired a mentor, I realized I need a mentor coach to teach me. And that's how I basically knew to effectively go to multifamily route because multifamily will scale in one property with one taxes, but with many, many doors. So that doors can give you more income to substantiate that one lot versus you have maybe 10 lots in New Jersey, but that's 10 high property taxes and 10 separate items you got to deal with. So that's the scale. Cash flow, you're gonna have so let's say we have a 50 unit. Let's say three people move out in 1 month. So we still have positive income because the scalability is there. Whereas if you have one house or two house and they move out, you have no cash flow in those two houses and you have to fix it. So you need a lot of reserves and you gotta be able to withstand that until you at least you find a good tenant, which could take it some time because you want a good tenant. You want any tenant. And to find the right tenant could take, maybe up to 6 months or something to find a tenant. Depends on your area, but to find a really good tenant, it takes some time. 3 to 6 months could be a possibility. Especially if it's holidays and then Christmas time now, it's slower, and you're not gonna have the candidate you probably want. You may have a lot of bad candidates applying with evictions and with a lot of tardiness. Maybe their income is very low or credit score is very low, so it's not a good. You can have a lot of those, but to find the right one is hard. So, and another thing I like about multifamily is that I can hire a third-party manager or later on just insource it myself, have work integrated, and have a property manager firm where I can just delegate a lot of work to. I have to oversee them, but I have to make sure they can do a lot of work for me, the brunt of it. Whereas it could alleviate some of my time, so that it's easier for me to grow. And as soon as I scale in one area, they can do a lot in the cluster and be very familiar with our processes, with our KPIs and what we're looking for, and then they're used to it and they can build a relationship together. And that's how you effectively grow that business. Okay, so that's the reason why I like multifamily a lot more than single family. I sold all my condos. I only have one right now, but that one is relatively new, so I'm holding it for a legacy. And it has a maintenance fee, so it's a little easier. Whereas single family houses, like if it was in New Jersey, I sold my single family houses because I didn't want to manage it. I was far away here in Dallas, and it was kind of a headache if they call me about some issues about toilet and I'm not there. I don't have a handyman nearby to go fix it. So that's the reason why I sold on my single family. I have one condo left that's really just turnkey because it has maintenance, and it's an easy one, and it was built in 2008, so that's a newer asset class. Okay, so let's see here. Why multifamily is a smaller choice? Okay, so the reason why I chose this one is because I think it will scale faster. So I have maybe, let's see, we're closing on one tomorrow, Conrad. It's a hundred and I think 13 units, Class A in Louisville, Kentucky. Okay, me and Conrad. And I'll show you the example we closed recently 2 months ago too. So stable income. So we have 113, townhomes, Class A that they can live in and appreciate in a nice area, and it's diversified tenants and professional manager where they can be there in a separate state and manage it for us. So one of the ways that 7 steps to transition from single family multifamily, the way I did it was I shifted my mindset from being small, like thinking small, saying, hey, you know what? I can buy a condo. I could buy 2 condos, maybe in Philly. The time Philly was very cheap, like $50 a row home. But the converse of Philly is that it doesn't grow much at the time, and also there's a lot of crime in the area. It has very low property taxes. So yeah, shift your mindset and think more like a big player, like a syndicator, where you can acquire, you either have a plan and acquire many assets to go from a small scale to a large scale. So you get think big, right? That's one of the advice I learned from my mentors and reading books like Robert Kiyosaki, Napoleon Hill. And one important thing he told me in his book, if you read his book, he has very important advice. He says, learn, but he also says, do it now. 3 letters. He says, do it now. Don't delay, do it now. What he's trying to tell you, you got to take massive action, get educated, but take massive action and then start learning and start growing. This is how Conrad and Brandon, who are my students, grew in this space. So then you have to build your team. Build your team meaning that you need a property manager, you need a lawyer, you need a CPA, you need a team to help you raise equity. You need a team to help you maybe asset manage. So you need all those to do this multifamily. And then you have to get educated. So hiring a mentor, a coach is very valuable. Or you can partner someone who's much larger, who's willing to take you on as a mentor. So leverage other people's money. So what do you do in this secret is we learn how to raise capital from other people's money and make them, give them a good passive return income. And then master deal analysis. So you have to understand how to underwrite deals and how to be proficient at it and underwrite it in a fairly quick manner so you can get a good sense if this is a good deal or not. So to master a property, you have to do a lot of deals, practice, understand the market, ask a lot of questions, ask your mentor, and then they'll give you advice, and then you can understand, oh, this deal is a good or bad deal based on what you're looking for. And then once you practice that, you'll be able to master that underwriting skill. So that's some kind of education and mentorship. So securing capital, to secure capital, you have to attract investors with confidence. So what that means is you have to be able to be educated enough to confidently talk about, with your investors, what is multifamily syndication? What are we buying? What class are we buying? Where and how come this can be a good avenue for you for alternative investments? Yes, you can invest in stocks and bonds, but there's also alternative, some piece that you want to carve out. So you're kind of more balanced portfolio that can invest in tangible assets that can give you returns. Yeah, can maybe double your money in like 5 years, right? That's what we kind of explain to them that, we have an ability to give you double your returns and the ability to give you good returns in 3 to 5 years. That's kind of our model here. We also have some models where we do it was really good in long term. We could refinance and hold it longer. Then we close the deal and we seal the opportunity successfully. So what that means is we get the deal under contract. We talk to brokers. We negotiate the terms. We win the deal with best and final or through off-market deals. Then we do heavy due diligence. with our team and our property manager and our vendors. And then we finalize the numbers and we close the deal. So we raise the equity and then we close the deal. And we start asset managing the asset after the deal is closed. So those are the 7 steps that you have to take to go through a process. And it's a lot of work. And so you need to have focus and time to do this. It's hard to do it part-time because this requires a lot of work and effort for you to do this. So this I recommend if you do this more like you have more time and more effort to focus on this. Okay. So let's see here. So case study. Okay, so this is a fun part I want to explain to you about. We have a recent acquisition that we closed, and this one is a 32 unit apartment here in Dallas. And we prefer Class B, which is 1980s and above. And we did a syndication with me, my partner, and Conrad is also a partner in this deal. We have general partners and limited partners, and we raised over $1 million through our networks in like I think 2 weeks. And we value added and improved the units, increased the rent. So this is how it looks like. This is a true example that we got off market deal through an owner, and the owner didn't know the market price, so we got a very low basis for 62 a door, which is unheard of in Dallas. And he gets free 16 HVAC units for free. And one of the units looks like this, which I believe is a storage unit he used for housing the HVACs. And then we turned it over. We spent like around 10 to 11,000. We put a brand new like stainless steel refrigerator, oven appliances, new cabinets, new flooring, bundle plank flooring, neutral color like gray. And we were able to rent it out within like 2 weeks. We were rent out this thing from zero income to 1100, I think 1100 at 1100 income. So what happens is we rented out 1100 in income and we got an extra 26,000 in NOI. So assuming a 6% cap rate, we had almost half million, so 440,000 in value just doing the storage units. So that's one example why I like multifamily, where you can increase from zero income to almost close to $500,000 in value. And that took, I think, 2 weeks to do. This took 2 weeks just to do a full renovation, 2 weeks. From cleaning the unit, from dismantling old one, adding new ones, and everything, all the 9 yards took like 2 weeks. Okay. And also we had 5 renewals when we closed, and we increased them $200 rent bump, $200 increase in rent bump for the 5 tenants, and they all agreed to that rent bump, which is pretty amazing if you think about it. So everyone was happy. They were at lower rents. The owner for like, I think 20 years, and she retired, and she said that, and we gave them a 20 rent bump right away, and they all said yes, we will pay for it. We're happy here. So that tells me that we have very loyal, very established long-term tenants that have families that want to stay here. Because they know that if they go next door, it's like $300 more. So and they don't want to spend the cost of moving as well. And they're used to it. Okay, so in this one, water conservation upgrade. So we did this fairly quickly. This was another NOI boost. So what we did was we took the old furnitures and fixtures, and it was causing high water bills and leakage. And we brought in a firm called SAS. And what they did was they conducted a water study and replaced all the low flowing toilets, faucets, and shower heads. And we did it in I think a week, a couple of days or something. And we saved around 6,000 water costs. So we increased another 114,000 in value just done in a couple of days. So in a few days, the value of the property actually increased. Just because we saved the water and the leakage. So you can see this how much we kind of saved and how much we did. So we paid the company like around, I think it was like $22,000 to do this project, but it was worth it because you get the benefit when you sell. So 114,000. So it saves us monthly water costs. So the value is actually more than this because this will increase later on too. So it would be a good benefit to do this. We take questions at the end too. You have any question at the end? Opportunities. So we also did something called cost segregation, which is my favorite subject because I'm a tax guy. So basically, we accelerate depreciation, allow us to capture the significant tax up front. So what that means is that I'll give you a simple example. Let's say we have a oven and a stove. So let's just say it costs $500 for an oven. So instead of depreciating under the makers table, the IRS table, we call it modified cost acceleration system, which is makers for short, which is an IRS depreciation life. It's 5 years, 3 years. It tells you what it is. So this is a 5 year life. And the 5 year life, so you take 500 over 5 years or $100 each year. But in this study, you can have an engineer in a firm come here and we take you in year one because we did the study. So instead of $100 in year one, you take $500 in year one. So what it does that it gives you a paper loss for tax, and essentially it lowers your real estate tax gains or your real estate tax losses in Schedule E. So that can offset, so that help you not give you income, but gives you losses. So the benefit is you can get paid in year one income and not pick up the income as income, but you see it as a loss. And if you have other real estate gains that's similar to that, you can offset that in Schedule E. So effectively, you reduce your income as well. Now, if you're a real estate professional, there's a greater benefit because then you get to offset your active income, where it could bring it down to zero, basically, where you pay no taxes legally. So this is one of the ways that real estate professionals use to pay no taxes is actually this strategy is to have cost segregation where basically, I pay no taxes. That's the reason why how this works. Okay. So basically that's kind of simple example. It is how it is. So now in this apartment, we accelerate like the appliances, the fixtures, the flooring. We bring it to year one, and our investor would benefit and get these $139,000 accelerated depreciation benefits to pass through my investors through the K1, the respective pro rata share into the K1. So this year, when we file in 2025 or 2024, they're going to get a K1 with losses. So they have no income, even though they're going to get some income and get paper loss. So that's the best of both worlds. Okay, so what this one is RUB. So RUB means ratio utility billings system, which means that basically we can charge for like pest control, utility, sewer, water. You can send it back to the residents because it's only one system. So you do a ratio and you add it to the lease. So when a new tenant comes to play, you can say, hey, listen, you gotta pay $6 for pest control, $25 for water, sewer, and everything's in here. And then that's part of the rubs. So you charge them that in addition to your rent. And that'll recoup some of the expenses that we pay. Because as an owner, you gotta pay the water and the sewer to the city. And that's how you get extra income and boost your NOI. So my manager is implementing $6 for pest control and $25 for like water and sewer, and we call quota rubs. And you do that on a rolling basis. So let's say he comes in, he's a new tenant or lease renewal, then you could put that in a new lease and you could implement the rubs into a new lease. And that's very common in apartments, so you know. So additional revenue could be like $13,000 from rub, which helps us a lot. And it helps us with the water and the sewer and the pest control that we gotta maintain. Okay. And it doesn't impact your tenant retention because they know that it actually helps the property. So pest control, monthly pest control treatment, it helps the property. So they like that. They like to see improvement. So one lesson I learned, I'll teach you from doing this for like 7 years and after doing like 16 deals, they want to see something done. The residents, when they see something done, even you pick up a little shovel or something, they're very happy because they know you're not a deadbeat tenant. You're not a deadbeat landlord. They know we're not deadbeat landlords, so that we're actually moving the system and progressing like they're happy. Because a lot of deadbeat owners don't do anything because they want to skip on the costs. So you see nothing done for like 2, 3 years. That's why it's mismanaged. They had to sell it at a lower price point. But when you see a manager come in, actually put work orders in, so put in a system, what ticket you have? You have a broken stove, you have broken light, and you see that progressing, which we monitor every single week in our KPI trackers, they're actually happy because you actually listen to them. So that's one thing that it's a small thing, but it's actually a very big thing for them. So residents first. Another tip I'll give you is that residents first initiative is very important. So later on, we're going to ask our manager Alicia to do some kind of event. Sometimes like Easter or whatever, we'll bring some cookie and some hot cocoa or something. We'll ask to do something to give back to the community. Sometimes the church as not-for-profit comes out, helps volunteers. That's a free thing. Sometimes we do barbecues on summertime. So whatever it is, we're going to ask to do something because residents first is very important to retain the tenant, foster community, and show that we care about them. That's something that we'll do. Is fairly inexpensive or even free. That you should do, that you should implement, so that you have a happy community and they can have referrals. You have a waiting list for referrals living in the community. Because say, hey, I'm happy. It's a great community, great property management company. The owners care about us, and we have these things going on. And I want to refer you so you can live next to me. We can hang out, and that's the goal of the Residents First initiative. So those are the tips that I recommend you do. What's holding you back here? So just like me when I was in my midlife crisis, when I was in New York City, I didn't know where to start. I had a couple of condos, single family house. I wasn't making much money, break even as best. And I was like, you know what? I'm banking on equity. I want to sell it. When it grows up, when it goes higher, I want to sell it, make some income. But it wasn't enough to leave my job, my high paying job as a tax executive in New York City. So I'm like, this is not going to suffice me and my family when I was a young kid. I have medical bills. So I said, we need to do something to achieve a scale where I don't have to worry about money anymore. Money is an afterthought. And then I focus on my family. We travel to Europe, to Asia. We go to Vancouver. We went to different places. Now I have the freedom to plan out time. And one important goal is to plan time with your family and friends who you care about. That's one goal of mine. But first, you have to have time and you have to have the money. And so to do that was I hired a mentor, a coach. And that's why I thought about syndication. He told me about syndication and that's how I was a guy, Conrad and Brendan, who's my students as well too. So that it helps you lower your basically your mistakes. Yeah. So I created my own mastermind program, a mentorship program here to help accelerate your success. So we have one-on-one with me, bi-weekly coaches, group community every once a month, and deal analysis, underwriting, raising capital, investor community, and websites on underwriting, raising capital, and AI. I use a lot of AI automations to raise capital, to reach accredited investors, and to build my social media presence to go viral. So this is how I raise capital, grow my business to seven figures, and scale where I have freedom now to time my family and friends and my loved ones to achieve the dreams I want is to spend time with family, friends, my kids, go to the soccer games, go to the PTA meetings. That's what I want, and that's what I'm doing right now. So and I gave back to Conrad and Brendan, and that's why I created this mastermind. And this mastermind, we can do deals. If you have a good deal, we can help you raise, and also you can also go on my deals as well. That's kind of the benefit here. So if you're interested in this one, just scan a QR code. Here's my link here. We help you succeed and scale to financial freedom. And if you want to reach seven figures, we show you how to go to seven figures the way I did it to financial freedom. Okay, so just scan this QR code, click on the link, and you have a strategy session with Conrad, and then we will help you in this program.